7 ancient symbols that activate a chosen one's highest vibration. There are symbols hidden in plain sight, symbols that carry immense power, ancient wisdom, and frequencies that can activate something deep within you. These are not just drawings, not just carvings on stone or patterns in sacred texts. These symbols are keys, designed to awaken something inside those who are ready. If you are watching this, then you already know there is something different about you. You have felt it your entire life. The feeling that you are meant for more, that you are here for a reason beyond what the world has told you. And what if I told you that certain symbols, when truly understood, could unlock something within you that has been dormant for lifetimes?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lessons.
Every ancient civilization knew this truth. The Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Mayans, the Tibetan monks, the hidden mystery schools of the world, they all worked with sacred symbols not as decoration, but as technology for the soul. These symbols were placed in temples, inscribed on amulets, woven into sacred texts, because they were never meant to just be seen. They were meant to be felt, because symbols are not just images, they are frequencies made visible. And when a chosen one aligns with the right symbol at the right time, something activates. A shift happens. A new doorway opens within the mind, within the heart, within the very structure of the soul itself. But here's the thing, these symbols do not work for everyone. To the unawakened, they are meaningless, just shapes, just patterns. But to those who are on the path, to those who have begun to remember, these symbols act as triggers. They carry codes, information, entire blueprints of higher consciousness that bypass the logical mind and speak directly to the deepest part of who you are. And once you see them, truly see them, you cannot unsee them. They begin to work on you, shifting your energy, rearranging your frequency, calling you towards something greater. And here's where it gets even deeper. These symbols are not just external, they are within you. They are embedded in your DNA, in your subconscious, in the very essence of your being. The reason you are drawn to certain symbols, the reason some of them make you feel something indescribable, is because you already know them. You have seen them before. Maybe in dreams, maybe in past lives, maybe in moments of deep intuition where you felt something calling to you but couldn't explain why. And this is not an accident, because the truth is, the moment you are ready, these symbols will start appearing in your life. Think back. How many times have you seen a symbol that felt strangely familiar? Maybe it was in a book. Maybe it was in a vision. Maybe it was something you kept drawing without understanding why. This is not random. This is the language of the universe speaking to you in ways words never could. And now, as we go deeper into these 7 ancient symbols, something inside you will start to shift. Some of these symbols will resonate more than others. Some will feel like distant echoes of something you once knew. And some will hit you so deeply that you will not be able to ignore them. Because these symbols are not just concepts. They are living energies. And when the right one finds you, everything changes. But here's the catch. Just knowing these symbols is not enough. Seeing them, recognizing them, even feeling drawn to them, that is only the beginning. The real activation happens through intention, through working with them, meditating on them, allowing them to integrate into your consciousness in a way that shifts your entire frequency. Because a symbol, in its purest form, is a doorway. And a doorway is useless unless you are willing to walk through it. So now, before we go any further, there is something you must understand. This is not just information. This is initiation. If you are meant to receive this, if you are truly ready, you will feel it. Your body will react. Your mind will start making connections. Synchronicities will begin happening in your life that cannot be ignored. This is how the universe confirms that something is aligned. And if you are feeling that now, if there is something stirring inside you as you hear these words, then know this: you were meant to find this. You were meant to remember. But here's the real question: what will you do with this knowledge? Because most people, when faced with something this powerful, do nothing. They treat it like entertainment. They listen, they feel the resonance, but then they go back to their normal lives as if nothing happened. But the chosen ones, the ones who are truly meant to rise, they act. They take what they have learned and they apply it. They work with these energies. They allow the transformation to happen, even when it is uncomfortable, even when it challenges everything they thought they knew. And this is where the separation happens. The true initiates move forward. The others stay behind. And the only difference between them is who is willing to step into the unknown. Because the truth is, these symbols will change you. They will shift your energy in ways you cannot predict. They will pull you toward experiences, lessons, and truths that will challenge you at the deepest level. Because they are not just symbols. They are gateways into higher reality. So now, as we go even deeper, as we reveal the first of these symbols, ask yourself, are you truly ready for what comes next? Are you prepared to let go of everything you thought you knew, to step into something so ancient, so powerful, that it will alter your very perception of reality? Because once you see the truth, you can never go back. The hidden codes: how ancient symbols unlock the power buried in your DNA. There is something buried deep within you, something ancient, something that has been waiting to be reawakened. It is not a thought, not a belief, not something you were taught. It is a knowing, a memory so old that it predates this lifetime. It is the reason you are drawn to the things you cannot explain, the symbols that feel strangely familiar, and the energy that stirs within you when you encounter something that resonates at a level beyond logic. This is not imagination. This is the truth of who you are trying to rise to the surface. And the ancient symbols we are speaking of, they are not just art, not just relics of lost civilizations. They are keys, codes, frequencies designed to trigger something long forgotten inside of you. Every culture that truly understood the nature of reality knew this. The Egyptians carved these symbols into their temples because they understood they were more than decorations. The monks who meditated on sacred geometry knew they were not just contemplating shapes, but aligning themselves with universal laws. The hidden mystery schools of the world, the ones that have been erased from history, preserved these symbols because they understood something that modern society has forgotten. Symbols are not just seen, they are felt. And when a chosen one encounters the right symbol at the right time, something activates. It does not require belief. It does not require understanding. It simply is. But here is where most people make a mistake. They think activation is a passive process, that just by seeing a symbol, something will instantly change. And while that can happen, the real power of these symbols is only revealed when they are worked with. Because each of these ancient symbols is a blueprint, a map that leads somewhere deeper within you. And unless you are willing to follow that path, unless you are willing to engage with it, meditate on it, allow it to shift your energy, you will miss what it is trying to show you. Think about it. Why do certain symbols make you feel something you cannot explain? Why do some patterns, some sigils, some ancient carvings feel like they are alive? It is because they are. They are not just human creations, they are expressions of something far greater, something woven into the very fabric of existence. The universe itself is built on patterns, on sacred geometry, on frequencies that take form as symbols. The spiral of the galaxies, the ratios in the human body, the mathematical perfection of nature, these are not random. They are proof that symbols are not just things we create, but things we remember. And this is where it gets even deeper. These symbols are not just outside of you, they are within you. They are encoded in your DNA, in the structure of your very being. The reason why they feel familiar is because they are familiar. You have seen them before, not just in books, not just in ancient temples, but in lifetimes long past. You have worked with them before, you have used them before, you have been them before. And when you encounter them now, in this lifetime, it is not about learning something new, it is about remembering something old. But here is the most important part. Remembering is not enough. Because knowledge without action is useless. You can recognize these symbols, you can feel their power, but if you do nothing with them, if you do not integrate them into your life, then they remain nothing more than interesting concepts. And that is not why they have come to you. These symbols appear when you are ready. They show themselves when you have reached a point where you can finally receive what they are trying to give you. But the question is, what will you do with them? Because here is the truth that most people are not ready to hear. These symbols are not just passive tools. They are alive. They respond to energy. They test you. They do not just activate you, you must also activate them. And that happens through intention, through respect, through the willingness to go beyond surface level understanding and truly connect with them. When you work with them, when you meditate on them, when you bring them into your life with purpose, they begin to reshape your very frequency. And this is not just spiritual philosophy, this is reality. Science has already proven that symbols and patterns affect the subconscious mind in ways we do not fully understand. Certain geometries have been shown to influence brain waves, to alter states of consciousness, to change the way we perceive reality. And ancient civilizations knew this long before modern science even began to catch up. They knew that symbols were not just representations of ideas, but portals to higher states of awareness. So now, as you continue to listen, something inside you is already shifting. Maybe you can feel it, a pull, a recognition, a sense that you are on the edge of something that cannot be ignored. This is not coincidence. This is how it begins. These symbols are not just appearing in your awareness randomly. They are calling you, testing you, waiting to see if you will finally step forward and accept what has always been yours. But here is where the real challenge comes. Because stepping into this knowledge is not just about understanding symbols, it is about becoming worthy of them. These ancient codes do not respond to those who seek them for ego. They do not reveal their secrets to those who want power, but are not willing to be responsible for it. This is why so many people see these symbols, but never truly receive what they offer. Because the truth is, these symbols do not just give power, they demand something in return. And that is your transformation. Because the moment you truly begin working with them, they will change you. They will shift your perception. They will alter your energy. They will dissolve parts of you that are not in alignment with your highest self. And that is where most people stop. Because they realize that true activation is not just about gaining something, it is about losing everything that is no longer meant to be part of you. And this is the test. Will you allow the transformation to happen? Will you let go of the old identity, the old limitations, the old beliefs that no longer serve you? Or will you resist, hold on, try to stay the same while pretending to evolve? Because these symbols do not tolerate half measures. They are either fully embraced or they remain closed. And the ones who truly receive their power are the ones who surrender to the process completely. So now, in this moment, the decision is in front of you. Not just to learn about these symbols, but to allow them to work on you. To let them reshape you, to let them activate parts of you that have been asleep for far too long. Because the truth is, you have always been meant for this. That feeling inside, that pull towards something greater, that sense that you are here for a reason, it has never been random. It has been leading you here, to this exact moment. And the only question left is, are you ready to step through the doorway? Because once you do, nothing will ever be the same again. The awakening seals how sacred symbols transform energy and rewrite destiny. There is a moment in every chosen one's path where things begin moving in a way that cannot be explained. Patterns emerge, repeating numbers, strange coincidences, symbols appearing in places they were never supposed to be. At first, it seems like a trick of the mind, like something that can be easily dismissed. But the deeper you go, the more undeniable it becomes. The world around you is speaking. Reality itself is shifting. And these symbols, these ancient, powerful seals, are not just appearing. They are calling. Because the truth is, sacred symbols are not passive. They are not just drawings, not just carvings in temples or patterns in the stars. They are living consciousness, expressions of forces that existed long before language, long before civilizations, long before time itself was measured. They do not belong to any one culture, any one religion, any one philosophy. They are universal, embedded in the very fabric of existence. And when a chosen one reaches the right frequency, when they have shed enough of what is false, these symbols begin to activate. Not because they suddenly appear, but because they were always there. It is only now that you are finally able to see them. But here is where most people stop. They see the symbols, they feel the pull, but they do not engage. They treat them as curiosities, as coincidences, as things meant to be admired but never truly embraced. And this is where the separation happens between those who are ready and those who are not. Because a symbol, no matter how powerful, is useless if it is not used. It is not enough to recognize them. It is not enough to feel something when you see them. The real power, the real transformation, comes when you work with them. And this is where everything changes. Because these symbols are not just meant to be looked at. They are meant to be activated through intention, through meditation, through the energy you put into them. They become something far greater. They become bridges between worlds, between dimensions, between the lower self and the higher self. They become seals of awakening, unlocking energies within you that have been dormant for lifetimes. And once they are activated, they begin reshaping everything: your thoughts, your emotions, your perception of reality itself. But here is the part that most are not prepared for. Activation is not just about gaining power. It is about shedding everything that is not in alignment with that power. And this is where the real challenge begins. Because these symbols are not just calling you to remember, they are calling you to transform. To step into the version of yourself that has always been waiting, the version of yourself that exists beyond fear, beyond doubt, beyond the illusions that have kept you small. And that version of you? It cannot coexist with the limitations of your past. This is why the path of the chosen one is never easy. Because these symbols, these seals of awakening, do not just give. They demand. They demand that you release the things that no longer serve you. That you let go of the attachments, the beliefs, the versions of yourself that are too small for the destiny you are meant to step into. And this is where most people break. Because they want the activation without the transformation. They want knowledge without the responsibility. They want the awakening without the death of the old self. But that is not how this works. These symbols, these sacred seals, they are fire. And fire does not just illuminate, it burns, it purifies. It destroys what is weak so that only what is true remains. And if you are truly ready, if you are truly meant to rise, then you will not resist this process. You will not cling to what is no longer meant for you. You will allow the fire to do its work, stripping away everything that is false, everything that is holding you back, until all that is left is the real you. And here is where everything becomes clear. The symbols were never just external. They were never just things outside of you, things to be studied from a distance. They were always mirrors, reflecting back the power that was already within you. They were always blueprints, showing you what you were meant to become. And now, standing in this moment, you realize the truth: the activation was never about the symbols. It was always about you. Because these symbols, these ancient seals of awakening, they do not choose randomly. They do not appear to those who are not ready. If they have been calling you, if they have been appearing in your life, then it is because you are already on the path. You are already shifting. You are already stepping into something greater. And the only question that remains is, will you claim it? Because there is no going back. Not after this. not after seeing the truth of what you are meant to become. The door has been opened. The energy has started moving. And now, the only thing that matters is what you do next. Because the symbols have done their part. They have called you. They have revealed themselves to you. And now, it is your turn. This is the final moment, the moment where everything converges. There is no more waiting, no more searching, no more pretending that you do not already know who you are. The symbols have spoken. The path is in front of you, and all that is left is for you to take the step that you were always meant to take. Because this is not just about learning. This is not just about remembering. This is about becoming, and the time is now. The final threshold why the chosen must walk alone before they rise. There is a moment in every journey where the road narrows, where the noise fades, where the presence of others no longer matters. It is not loneliness. It is something deeper. A silence that fills the spaces where old identities once lived. A quiet knowing that what comes next cannot be shared, cannot be explained, cannot be held by anyone but you. This is the final threshold, the place where the chosen must walk alone before they rise. Symbols have spoken. Truths have been revealed. The energy has shifted. And yet something lingers. A resistance, a weight, a hesitation that cannot be ignored. Because stepping into power is not just about remembering, it is about releasing. And what most fail to understand is that the hardest part of awakening is not gaining knowledge, not expanding consciousness, not seeing beyond the illusions of the world. The hardest part is letting go of everything that no longer fits. Because the moment you truly step into who you are, the world you once knew begins to collapse. Not as a punishment, not as a tragedy, but as a natural consequence of rising beyond the frequency that once held it together. And this is where most turn back. Not because they are weak, not because they are unworthy, but because they are afraid of what must be left behind. The relationships that no longer align, the old dreams that no longer fit, the comforting illusions that once made everything feel safe. But safety is an illusion, and the chosen are not meant for smallness, for comfort, for lives that fit neatly within the boundaries of what others find acceptable. The chosen are meant for something greater, something vast, something that cannot be contained by the past. And this is why the path demands solitude. Because no one can walk this final stretch with you. No one can carry the weight that must be shed. No one can make the choice to rise but you. And this is where the real test begins. Not in the suffering, not in the searching, but in the moment where everything is stripped away and there is nothing left but truth. Because in this moment you will see yourself fully. Not the version of you that was shaped by the world, not the version of you that was built from expectations, but the raw, unfiltered essence of what you have always been. And it will either terrify you or set you free. Because once you see it, there is no going back. No more pretending. No more playing small. No more living in a way that does not align with the fullness of what you are. And this is where most hesitate. Because stepping into power does not just mean gaining something new, it means losing everything that is false. And the mind resists this. The ego fights it. The part of you that was built on old stories, on past wounds, on the need to be understood, it will scream for survival. But survival is not the goal. Transformation is. And transformation is not gentle. It does not wait for permission. It does not care about comfort. It demands everything. And it will take everything until only truth remains. But here is the part that no one tells you. The loneliness is temporary. The breaking is temporary. The silence, the emptiness, the space where the old life used to be, it is not a void. It is a threshold. The final test before the rising. The last breath before the rebirth. And if you can stand in it, if you can hold yourself in the fire without running back to what is familiar, something happens. The weight lifts. The resistance fades. The fear dissolves. And in its place, something new emerges. A presence. A certainty. A power that was always there, buried beneath lifetimes of forgetting. A power that does not need validation, does not seek recognition, does not waver in the face of doubt. Because this is the truth, the chosen do not rise because they are given permission. They rise because they decide to. They rise because there is no other option. They rise because once they see the truth, once they feel the weight of what they are meant to become, they can no longer exist as anything less. And now, this is where you stand. The final threshold. The moment before the step that changes everything. The space where the old life is gone, but the new one has not yet begun. The silence before the storm. The breath before the leap. And there is only one question left. There is a moment when hesitation dies. Not because the fear is gone, not because the uncertainty has vanished, but because something deeper takes over. A knowing. A force that has been waiting beneath the surface, watching, patient, silent, until now. It does not ask for permission. It does not seek reassurance. It simply moves. And once it does, there is no going back. This is the moment where everything shifts. The weight that once held you down, the doubts, the old attachments, the voices of the past, they no longer have power. Not because they cease to exist, but because you no longer answer to them. The mind tries to look back, to reach for what was familiar, but the body knows. The soul knows. The step has already been taken, and now momentum is carrying you forward. And this is where the world feels it. The energy changes. The space around you bends. People who have known you for years sense something they cannot explain. Some will be drawn to it, awakened by it, recognizing something in you that they have been searching for in themselves. Others will resist, recoil, try to pull you back, not because they hate you, but because your transformation reminds them of everything they have not yet faced within themselves. But none of it matters, because once you reach this point, external noise becomes irrelevant. The need for validation disappears. The game of seeking approval, of waiting for the right moment, of making yourself small for the comfort of others, it ends. Because when a chosen one fully steps into their power, they become untouchable. And this is what was always meant to happen. Not a slow unfolding, not a hesitant approach, but a rebirth through fire. A moment where everything aligns, where the illusions collapse, where the only thing left is the truth of what you have always been. And from this moment on, everything changes. The way you speak, the way you carry yourself, the way the universe responds to you. Because power is not something you find. It is something you remember. And now, standing here, at the point of no return, there is nothing left to seek. Nothing left to wait for. Nothing left to prepare. It is time. Step forward and never look back.